Folks, a failed plan leaves a buyer stuck. I'll get into that and then the latest home prices and insights for the city of Toronto for week ending May 14th, 2025. A while back in 2014, we purchased a property for one of our clients. In 2021, he called me and said, Santo, we're looking to sell our home. And he had this plan of selling the property and paying off some debts, investing some, and they were going to rent for a while. So I sat with him. We looked at everything, and the home had appreciated quite a bit since then, and he wanted to take advantage of that, but more so because he had some financial pressures and wanted to deal with all that. And thankfully, values went up quite a bit. He was, that was really going to help him out. So we looked at that. And the only thing I really said that was contradictory to that was my experience. I explained to him, once people come out, it's difficult to get back into the market. For most people, that's what we see. He understood. We looked at all that again, and we sold his property. Fast forward to today, it's 2025. He's called me. He says, Santo, the landlord is thinking of selling the property. We may have to move. We've already been through this once. We don't want to do it again. We want to buy a place. Let's get back into the market. So I sat with him and his wife, looked at their budget, their plan, the kind of home they wanted, the area, and budget and where they wanted to be really wasn't matching. What their budget would buy them, that home really wouldn't suit their needs. So we looked at a few different things, and that's basically the way it was. There was no other way of looking at things. Their budget was not going to be able to buy them the kind of home that would suit their needs. They either drastically reduced the type of home they were going to buy or continue renting to be able to later get back in where they could afford to buy the kind of home that they wanted. After that exercise, he said to me, Santo, if I would have known that this is the way it worked out, we would have pushed through, not sold, pushed through and continued to own our home. Well, hindsight is 2020. It's, easy to say that when you're looking back at the way things happened. But I can tell you, many people, we've seen this over and over again. Many people, once they come out of the market, have a difficult time to get back in. Lots of people will say, Santo, how do people afford to buy $1.5, $2 million homes? They don't have a $1.5 million. For the most part, they don't have a $1.5 million or a $2 million mortgage. They're usually upsizing from another home, and they're taking all the equity from one home and moving it into the next home. And that's how they're able to move up from a 1 million to a 1.5 or a 1.5 to a 2 million. This is how most people will do that, and they're moving up the home ladder, but they're taking all the equity from one and move it into the other. What changes when you sell to get back into the market at a future point? You sell here, it's the same equity, but it's not going directly into another home. It's going into your bank. And between when you sell, you're now renting and you want to get back in, even for the most responsible people, life happens in between the I'm out and then I want to get back in. Life happens. All sorts of things happen in life that erode that equity that is now not directly going into another home. And that's what happened with my clients. And, they wish they would have done things differently. But this is what happens to many, many people. Many good people that have great intentions. And today, there's lots of people struggling out there. There's lots of people in a financial struggle and are thinking, let me sell, let me get out, I'll get in later. I'm just telling you that, maybe that'll work out for you, because it does work out for some, but for the vast majority, coming back in is a challenge for them once they're out of the market. So think long and hard before this is the plan that many people have thought makes sense. Think long and hard before you decide, I'm going to sell to get back in. Some people have no choice. It's just the way it's got to go. Other people have some choices. Just look at all your options, look at all your choices before this is the plan that you want to get into. If you think this video can help somebody you know, please pass it along. If you want to speak with me about your real estate situation, selling, buying, it's really simple. Below this video in the description is a link to my calendar. Click on that or go to tsre.ca. It'll take you straight to the calendar. Book a date and time that suits you, and we'll talk about whatever's on your mind. Now, let's get into the numbers. Folks, have you been following the Leafs? If you have, they did it to us again. Let's get into the numbers. Here we go. We're focused on the freehold market for the city of Toronto only. Detached semis and towns is really what we're going to be talking about here. I've got average sold prices for 3 months. I do have condos here. The only reason I have condos on this chart is to kind of show the comparison. There's almost a $900,000 difference between the average condo price and the average detached price. But the condo show, that's tomorrow, comes out on Wednesdays. Today, Tuesday, we're going to be focused on City of Toronto. This slide is for detached properties for week ending May the 14th. 183 detached properties were sold across the city of Toronto. 46 of those were at $2 million or more. Sales since the beginning of the year have been trending upwards. Not every single week, but overall trending upwards. Average sold price, it's down over the last week. It's now at $1,637,000. If we go back to the beginning of this year, average sold price, I would say, was trending upwards. I'm suggesting now that average sold price has been trending downwards ever since beginning or middle of March, it looks like. That's the whole detached market. If we break detached market down a little bit further, 3 beds, 95 were sold for an average sold price of $1,417,000. 4-bed detached, 53 were sold for an average sold price of $2,016,000. The difference between the average sold price of 3 beds versus a 4-bedroom home is $599,000. Say $600,000 is the average difference, is the difference in average sold price between 3 beds and 4 beds. Compared to last year, 1,637 is 14% lower. The median price of 1,409 is 12% lower. The dotted line, that's the 4-week moving average, and average price and median price, prices are trending down slightly. Not aggressive, but they are trending downwards. 183 were sold, 38% sold at list price or more. And if I kind of look back, I would say that that percentage is trending down slightly. Listings, 514 were listed. That's just for the 1 week ending May 14th for the city of Toronto, and only for detached properties. That's the second highest week of listings we've had this whole year. The third highest was 501. The most amount of listings so far this year was the previous week of 592. So between this week and the previous week, there's a lot of new detached properties being listed on the market. And as a result, active listings is climbing. Well, it's not really as a result. It's because sales are not that high that the more listings means more properties are sitting out there. So active listings is increasing. Months of inventory down slightly. We're at 3.3. And if we go back to the middle of March, I would say months of inventory is trending down slightly. So months of inventory, this is a very important, very, very specific data point. Months of inventory really talks about the supply and demand. That's how we look at months of inventory. And with it trending down slightly, we got average sold price trending down slightly. The lower months of inventory gets, prices tend to go upwards. We're still kind of in a balanced market, but at the bottom end of a balanced market, and you're going to experience different things in the different neighborhoods as a result. Actually, let's look at that now. So this is the whole city of Toronto, and we're saying the whole city is 3.3 months of inventory. Well, you've got some areas at 3.5, 5.9, 5.2, but I'm going to bring your focus to two specific areas. East York Riverdale Beaches is 1.9 months of inventory. That's a seller's market. Now, earlier when I was talking about the whole city of Toronto, and now I'm breaking it down into 9 sections. Sure, they're smaller segments, but still within these areas, there are micro markets that could be even more aggressive than what I'm showing you here. So East York Riverdale Beaches, 1.9 months of inventory. High Park Parkdale, 2.2 months of inventory. Those are sellers markets. You're going to experience balanced markets. You're going to experience sellers markets. You're going to experience balanced market. It really depends on where you are, your price point, home type, all that will play into it. So use the data that I'm showing here as a guide to kind of generally understand what the market is doing as a whole, and a little bit more specific with this chart. But what's happening in your neighborhood is really the most important thing if you're looking to sell or you're looking to buy. Here's semi-detached properties. For week ending May 14th, 62 semi-detaches were sold. 15 of those were sold at $1.5 million or more. Sales not really going anywhere. 62 is pretty similar to what we've been selling since the beginning of April, ending of March. Average sold price is $1,283,000. It is really difficult for me to say which way prices are going. I'm suggesting maybe they're trending downwards. It's just really difficult to tell. If we look at the dotted line, the 4-week moving average, both average price and median price kind of show prices are a bit flat. And months of inventory is up slightly over time. We're now at 2 months of inventory. Here's townhouses. 22 freehold townhouses were sold for week ending May 14th. 3 of those were at $1.5 million or more. Average sold price is $1,245,000. 1245 is 10% lower year over year. The median price is 14% lower, and months of inventory sitting at 2.7 for week ending May 14th. Here's a quick summary. Look, if we're looking at detached, you're kind of borderline between balanced market, seller's market, and then you're going to get the extremes. You're going to get the balanced market, and in some neighborhoods into a buyer's market. But you're also going to get the opposite of that. You're going to have some neighborhoods that really are more of a seller's market where there's multiple offers on properties and you find yourself competing. So you're going to experience a bit of everything. Really depends the neighborhood, price point, home type that you're focused on. Thanks for watching. Have an awesome day.